Is Boston about to hand the Warriors their next dynasty piece? What if the Boston Celtics, reigning champions and top contenders, are about to hand over a key piece to a potential Western Conference powerhouse? That's the scenario brewing quietly, behind the scenes, as the Celtics inch closer to a franchise-altering decision on Kristaps Porzingis, and the Golden State Warriors of all teams are circling like sharks that smell blood in the water. Let's cut through the noise. Boston is in financial quicksand. With the second apron of the NBA's luxury tax breathing down their necks, the consequences of staying above that line for a third straight year are no longer theoretical. They're devastating. No more sign-and-trades. No more mid-level exceptions. No more flexibility. The Celtics would be locked into a rigid roster with limited tools to evolve. That's not just inconvenient. That's a death sentence for a team trying to sustain championship-level success in a constantly shifting NBA landscape. And in the middle of this storm, Kristaps Porzingis. On paper, he's a 7'3" unicorn with a deadly shooting stroke and surprising defensive instincts. But in reality, he's also a ticking time bomb, both physically and financially. His $30.7 million salary for 2025-26 is the third highest on the roster, and despite flashes of brilliance, his career has been defined just as much by MRIs and missed games as it has by blocks and threes. The Celtics know this. Rival GMs know this, and the Warriors? They smell opportunity. According to Clutch Point's Brett Siegel, Golden State has been eyeing Porzingis for a while, even before Boston made its move in 2023. That's no coincidence. The Warriors' front office has been obsessed with length and versatility ever since they watched Anthony Davis tear through them in 2021 and Nikola Jokic dominate the West in 2023 and 2024. This team needs frontcourt help badly. Kevin Looney can't do it alone. Draymond Green, for all his defensive brilliance, is undersized. And young names like Jonathan Kuminga haven't proven they can anchor a playoff frontcourt. Porzingis could be the missing piece. But here's the twist. Is Boston really going to help Golden State build another juggernaut? Let's not forget what Porzingis does when healthy. Stretch the floor, protect the rim, and punish mismatches in ways that force opposing coaches into panic mode. Pair that with Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler, that's a terrifying big three, with real postseason muscle. The Warriors' second-half surge last season wasn't just a fluke. It was the foundation of something dangerous. Give them one more weapon, and we could be looking at another finals run. Yet here lies the ultimate gamble. Can anyone trust Porzingis to stay on the court? That's the elephant in every trade room right now. His injury history is a blinking red light. And for a team like the Warriors, already navigating the twilight of Steph's prime, another misstep could slam their title window shut for good. But what if they get lucky? What if Porzingis gives them 65 games and a clean playoff run? That's not just a win. That's a seismic shift in the Western Conference. So what's holding it up? It's not just about the money. It's about legacy. Boston must weigh this. Are they better off paying Porzingis one more year for 60 games and an uncertain playoff impact, or flipping him for cap relief and future assets before he walks for nothing? Here's the thought that should keep Celtics fans up at night. What if Porzingis becomes the piece that makes Golden State terrifying again? And here's a thornier question few dare to ask. Should the Celtics even care if Porzingis thrives? Elsewhere, the truth is uncomfortable. Boston isn't in the business of doing favors, but they're also in a bind. Trading Porzingis doesn't just save money, it could extend their window with a retooled roster. Add in the rising cost of keeping Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday together, and suddenly Porzingis isn't just expensive, he's unsustainable. So, is Boston willing to risk another team unlocking the version of Porzingis they never could fully harness? Or do they keep him, double down, and pray his body holds up under the weight of their championship expectations? That's the million-dollar question, and the decision made in the next few months could shift the balance of power in the NBA again. What if the unthinkable is already on the table? What if Brad Stevens, the architect behind Boston's championship core, is quietly preparing for a future without Jaylen Brown? It sounds outrageous, a four-time All-Star, the reigning Finals MVP, a cornerstone of the Celtics' identity. But beneath the surface of Boston's recent dominance, something far more volatile is brewing, something that most Celtics fans either can't see or simply refuse to believe. And it starts at the top. Jaylen Brown isn't just another name on a spreadsheet. He's the second head of the dragon in a franchise that just captured banner number 18. But NBA front offices don't operate on nostalgia. They operate on margins, contracts, and cold projections. And right now, Brad Stevens is staring down the most brutal numbers in the league. Brown's deal, 4 years, $235 million. That's not just a contract, that's a declaration. And when Jason Tatum's Supermax kicks in next season, the Celtics will be drowning in salary commitments, unlike anything this franchise has ever seen. Still think Jaylen is untouchable? You're kidding yourself if you think they wouldn't listen, an Eastern Conference executive said bluntly. Brad Stevens doesn't live in fantasy land. He moves when he sees the shift coming. Here's what no one is emphasizing enough. Jason Tatum's Achilles injury isn't just a setback. It's a seismic event. He's not expected back until 2026. Let that sink in. Without Tatum, this version of the Celtics is over. Not paused, not delayed. Over. That forces Stevens into an impossible position. Keep the roster intact. Pay luxury tax penalties so steep they become historic, and pray that a Tatum-Brown duo still works in 2 years? Or get ahead of the crash. Stevens already did the unthinkable once. He traded Marcus Smart, the supposed soul of the team. He did it just before Smart's decline became obvious. Now, many are wondering, is he about to pull the same surgical move with Jaylen? Nobody's putting Jaylen on the block, yet teams are circling. Houston, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Brooklyn, all of them armed with young stars, draft picks, and cap flexibility. All of them desperate to skip the rebuild and land a proven two-way wing who just won Finals MVP. Boston is suddenly in a position of power, but only for now. Brown's value is sky high after the title run, but that can change in a blink. What happens if he regresses without Tatum? What happens if injuries creep in? What happens when the pressure of being the guy exposes the gaps in his game? You sell stars when their stock peaks. You don't wait for the graph to tip. There's a dangerous myth in Boston that Jaylen and Jason are untouchable, that you don't mess with a championship duo. That continuity wins. But what if that's outdated? Thinking Brown is 28. In NBA years, that's the middle of his prime, but also the beginning of a slow descent. His contract is designed to pay him superstar money, even if his production slides. What if Stevens doesn't believe Brown can be a number? One option in Tatum's absence. What if he's already seen enough? And here's the gut punch. What if Brad Stevens believes this Celtics window is already closing? Fans would riot. Media would melt down. But Stevens has never let emotion override decision-making. Trading Jaylen would be a nuclear move, but one made not from panic, but foresight. In some corners of the league, execs are already whispering, this is exactly the kind of cold-blooded chess move Stevens would make. You don't wait for the house to burn down, the exec said. You sell the property while it's still pristine. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Jaylen Brown is no longer untradeable. He's a test case in whether Boston is willing to risk short-term backlash for long-term dominance. And maybe the most spine-chilling question of all, what if Stevens has already decided and we're just waiting for the moment? The offseason hasn't started, but the chessboard is already shifting, and Jaylen Brown's name, whether fans like it or not, is right at the center.